They handed me a wristband like I was some background prop in my own family, bright yellow, stamped, viewing guest only. Then my mom leaned in, smiling like it was funny. That means no food, sweetheart. It's only for close family. Close family. At my sister's baby shower, hosted in a hall I had paid the deposit for. I glanced around the room. Linen-draped tables, catered buffet, custom balloons with baby girl Jenkins in rose gold foil. My card sat on the gift table in a silver envelope, containing the $6,200 savings bond I'd spent a year building. For her future. I walked over, picked it up, and said loud enough for the room to freeze. Looks like this won't be necessary anymore. Then I turned and walked out, my heels echoing louder than anyone's guilt. My sister called after me. My mom gasped. My dad, of course, just said, "Wait, come back." But I didn't. I didn't even flinch. Call me Riley. And if you're brave enough, stay tuned. What would you do if your own family treated you like an outsider at your most generous moment? I sat in my car, hands shaking, not from sadness, but from the clarity. It wasn't just the wristband. It was everything. Every time I'd loaned money, showed up early, stayed late, babysat for free, and never asked for recognition. And this was my reward, a colored band and a pat on the head. I drove home in silence, replaying the smirks, the whispers, the way my sister didn't even look at me as I walked away. And as I pulled into my apartment, something inside me shifted. Not grief, not even anger, resolve. If I was just a viewer in this family, then fine. I'd watch. But what came next? They'd never see it coming. The text started that night. SIS. You made a scene. I don't know what's gotten into you. Dad. That was childish, Riley. You embarrassed the whole family. I didn't respond. I stared at my phone, then placed it face down. I'd already deleted the group chat. The same one where I was somehow always expected to send money, drive hours to attend events, but was still referred to as the single one like a scarlet letter. Funny how I was always useful, until I stood up for myself. The next morning, I opened my laptop and logged into the trust account. Not theirs, mine. The one my grandfather had quietly set up for me before he died. The man everyone said was losing it when he insisted I was the only one who ever sat and listened to him. Turns out, he left me more than just war stories and chocolate bars. There it was. $118,000. Untouched. Growing. Waiting. I smiled. And then I got to work. I booked a flight to Denver. Checked into a downtown hotel. The same city my cousin Alexis had just launched her event consulting company in, and the same cousin who told me last year, "If you ever get tired of being the family's punching bag, come build something with me." She meant it. I showed up at her co-working space the next day with coffee and my portfolio. She didn't ask questions, just hugged me and said, "Took you long enough." By Friday, I had a desk, a list of clients, and something I hadn't felt in years. Value. Back home, the baby shower photos went up on Facebook. I wasn't in a single one. Not even a tag. It was like I'd been erased from the day. Good. Let them crop me out of their stories. Because the next chapter? I was writing it on my own terms. And they had no idea it was already in motion. I clicked unfollow on every family member, shut the laptop, and whispered to myself, "They want to see what happens when the quiet one finally speaks. Let's begin." 1 week later, I got an email from my bank. Subject: Unusual account activity. External transfer requested. I clicked it. Someone had tried to access the bond account, the same one I had withdrawn the $6,200 from. The timing was too convenient. They must have thought I'd forgotten about it, or better yet, that I was too emotional to notice. They were wrong. I called the bank, confirmed everything, and set up a new firewall on all my financials. No joint access, no family names, no loopholes. Then I called Alexis. "We need to go bigger," I told her. "You ready?" she replied. That weekend, we co-hosted a gala for local women-led businesses. Guess who sponsored it? My sister's husband's law firm. Unknowingly, through Alexis's pipeline. They showed up, smiling, hands outstretched. They didn't recognize me at first. Red dress, straightened hair, confidence like armor. But when my sister's husband saw me on stage giving the keynote, I watched his jaw tighten.
Good.
The room erupted in applause when I closed with, "Never let anyone seat you at the kids' table just because you're the one who set it up." After the event, he cornered me. "Does your family know you're doing all this?" I smiled. "They will." And, oh, they did. The next day, my mom called. "Why didn't you tell us you were in town?" I let the silence breathe, then said, "I figured I'd wear my viewing guest wristband and keep my distance."
Click.
2 hours later, a group text. "Mom, you need to apologize. This is getting out of hand." "Dad, don't forget who raised you." SIS. "Honestly, Riley, you're being cruel."
Cruel? No.
Cruel was watching me fund their celebrations and then treat me like a stranger. Cruel was using me, then acting like I should be grateful. No, this wasn't cruelty. This was clarity. And I hadn't even gotten started. The next blow came quietly. I didn't yell. I didn't post anything online. I just made one call to the property manager of my parents' second home. See, they'd used my name and credit 5 years ago to help co-sign the lake house rental application when their own scores weren't strong enough. They swore it was temporary. "I'll handle the payments," Dad had said. "You're just helping us get approved." But guess who is still listed as the primary leaseholder?
Me.
Guess who still had legal access to the house? Also me. So I drove up to the lake house. I changed the locks. I took photos of the condition of every room, collected all the unpaid HOA notices they had stacked on the kitchen counter, and mailed copies to their address, certified. Then I hired a local realtor and put the house back on the market. The listing went live the following Monday. Charming 4BR lakeside home, now vacant, ready for sale. I didn't warn them, but I watched as the text poured in. "Dad, you can't do this." "Mom, you're out of line." SIS. "Is this about the baby shower? Seriously?" I responded to none of it. I just let the paperwork speak louder than their guilt trips. A week later, they showed up at my apartment. First time in over a year. I didn't answer the door. They knocked harder. "Riley, be reasonable. We have stuff in there." I opened the door just long enough to hand them a typed notice. "You have 48 hours to retrieve your personal belongings.
Keys have been changed.
Property is being sold." My mom stood there, stunned. My dad looked like he'd seen a ghost. "You're burning bridges," he said. I looked him dead in the eyes.
No.
"I'm just making sure I never get trapped on one again." I shut the door. Deadbolt clicked. And for the first time in my life, their silence felt like freedom. This wasn't revenge. This was reclamation. And the reckoning had only just begun. The lake house sale closed in 3 weeks.
Clean.
Legal. Profitable. $84,000 in proceeds wired to my account after settling their unpaid property taxes, repair costs, and back HOA dues, which I'd covered up front. And guess what? There was no thank you. Only rage. My sister went nuclear on Facebook. A vague post dripping with manipulation. Sometimes the people closest to you can be the most heartless. Family should never betray family, especially over money. The comments were brutal. Old aunts, church friends, even cousins I hadn't spoken to in years. Everyone sided with her. "So sorry, girl crying face. Money changes people. You don't deserve this during your pregnancy." No one asked me what happened. No one even tried to understand. Until Alexis messaged me. "You want to tell your side? Or should we let your work speak louder?" I knew what she meant. So we did the unthinkable. We launched a public mini-feature, a docu-style ad for our firm's new campaign. From left out to leading. It told a simple story. A woman overlooked by her family, who built an empire from the pieces they broke. It didn't name names. But if you knew, you knew. The video went viral in 3 days. 25,000 shares. Hundreds of comments from women saying, "Same thing happened to me. I felt this in my soul." She said what I never could. Then came the media request. An online women's network wanted to interview me, feature my story as a profile in Courage. They even offered a speaking slot at their summit in DC. I accepted. That night, I got an email from my sister. Long paragraphs. Guilt mixed with flattery. She called me brilliant and strong, said she was hurt and shocked, and wanted to rebuild. I read it twice. Then hit archive. You don't get to shrink me for years, and then praise me when the world starts clapping. You don't get to call me family when it's convenient. Because the woman I used to be, she would have replied. But the woman I've become? She doesn't beg for belonging. She chooses her circle now.
They weren't done. When silence didn't work, they tried sabotage. A week before the summit, I got an unexpected call from a number with my hometown area code. It was my old employer, the finance firm I left 2 years ago. "Hi Riley, just a heads up. Someone called our HR department asking if you'd ever been investigated for fraud." My stomach dropped. They assured me nothing would come of it. My record was spotless, but I already knew who had made the call. My dad used to golf with one of the senior partners there. They were trying to smear me. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I screenshot the call log, took notes, and forwarded everything to my attorney. Yes, attorney. Because Alexis and I weren't just running events anymore. We were building something real. Registered, insured, protected. And now legally armed. That night, I sent my family one final message. Attempting to defame me is not only low, it's legally actionable. If this continues, I will press charges. Do not contact me again. Then I blocked every number, every account, every route they could use to reach me. But the universe, funny as she is, had one last test. The summit, my keynote, 200 women, cameras, live streams, and a message I had carried inside me for years. I walked on stage, heartbeat steady. No script, just truth. When the people who are supposed to protect you decide you're disposable, you have two choices, shrink or rise. I chose to rise. The applause was thunder. As I walked off stage, I saw a text notification on my private backup phone, the one only Alexis had access to. It was a photo, from an unknown number. A picture of my parents sitting on the porch of a nearly empty house. The caption read, "We didn't think you'd really sell it." I stared at it, not with anger, but with a strange calm, because maybe, just maybe, they were starting to understand. You can't keep taking from someone just because they never fought back before. Some of us don't break. We transform. And when we do, there's no coming back.
The summit opened doors I never imagined. Within a month, we secured 3 corporate contracts, got featured in Business Her Weekly, and doubled our client roster. I moved into a sleek condo overlooking downtown Denver, floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, peace in every corner. And just when I thought they'd finally left me alone, an envelope arrived. No return address. No stamp. Hand-delivered. Inside, a baby photo. Not just any baby, my niece. And a handwritten note in my sister's shaky script. "She deserves to know you. Please don't punish her for our mistakes." For the first time in months, I hesitated, because I wasn't heartless. I had held that child in my arms when she was born. I bought her first blanket, the one with embroidered stars. But then I remembered the wristband. And every other time they had measured my worth in silence, exclusion, or guilt. I slid the photo back into the envelope and placed it in my fireproof box next to my trust documents and LLC papers. That night, I called Alexis. "I'm not angry anymore," I told her. "I'm just done." She understood. Closure doesn't always come with apologies. Sometimes, it comes with understanding that some bridges burn for a reason, so you never go back. A week later, I got a LinkedIn message from a woman I hadn't heard from in years. A girl who used to be in my college sorority. "I saw your talk. I didn't even know you went through all that. Your story helped me leave my toxic family. Thank you." And just like that, I realized my story wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to every woman who's ever sat at a dinner table and been made to feel less than. To every daughter who gave everything and got crumbs in return. To every quiet girl who finally raised her voice and found her power in the echo. I smiled. Because this was my legacy now. Not a last name, not their approval, but a life I built without them. And I wasn't finished yet. 3 months later, I returned to my hometown, not for them, but for me. The town was smaller than I remembered, the streets quieter. But I didn't come to make noise. I came to finish something. I drove past the old church, the park where I used to sit and dream about escaping, and finally pulled up to the house I once called home. It looked tired, paint peeling, grass overgrown, a forgotten place, much like how they once treated me. I didn't knock. I dropped an envelope in the mailbox, sealed, unmarked, final. Inside was a check. $6,200. The exact amount I had once gifted them at that baby shower. The one they rejected when they slapped a viewing guest-only wristband on my wrist like I was beneath them. A full circle. No note. No name. Just closure. As I drove away, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I didn't answer. Because this part of the story wasn't theirs anymore. It belonged to me. Now I wake up in a place I chose, surrounded by people who see me, not as a backup plan, not as a wallet, not as the extra daughter, but as me. I sit on panels. I mentor women with voices still trembling from the same pain I once carried in silence. I live out loud now. And when I walk into rooms, I don't ask for a seat. I own the table. Because the thing about being cast aside is you learn to stand. And once you do, you become unstoppable. To the family who mistook my kindness for weakness, thank you. Because everything you denied me, I built on my own. And now, I'm not just the girl you underestimated. I'm the woman you'll never catch up to.